Welcome back to Punchlines, guys. It is Shane McMurdo. I'm your host, bringing you another episode today. Coming off of an interesting weekend of fights. Already moving into this weekend, we got our boy Frank Martin fight. I'm always excited to watch him fight. One of the best fighters out there at 135. I'm excited. And today we're interviewing, continuing from the Alberto Ochoa episode last week, we're interviewing another influencer boxer. I'm excited to talk to her. She's coming off of a unanimous decision win against Brooklyn Barwick, where she got two standing 8 counts on her. She rocked her shit a few times. I saw the clip. She's none other than Miss Nikki Kangaroo joining us from Orlando. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. What fight was this for you? What was this, like your fourth, fifth fight?
Oh gosh, no. Well, official fight. This is my second one.
Okay, but who do you train with, by the way?
Fortune Boxing on
Is it
Melrose.
in LA?
Yes.
Who's the coach out there?
Justin and Tam are my coaches. Yeah,
Oh,
they're married and they are hilarious and I love them.
oh, that's awesome. I gotta say they look pretty good because, like, look, obviously, yeah, you got two fights. You're not great. Everybody knows, like, everybody with that
Yeah.
level of experience knows that. But the picture I saw of your right hook, it was short, it was compact. You turned the knuckles over. It was
Well,
pretty
thank
good. It
you.
was good form. And I mean, I think Brooklyn would agree because she was wobbling all over the place. Yeah,
Well, apparently not, but that's her own business.
whatever.
Um, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree though. Like I still have a lot to learn and a lot to kind of hone in on in terms of skills. But they are phenomenal coaches, and I've been so grateful to really kind of just grow and learn with them.
How did you kind of, I guess let's start. How did you get into boxing? Because your background is pretty versatile and
Yeah,
unique, and not typical of one, a boxer, but two, an influencer as well. But I
yeah.
guess we can kind of start. How did you get to the crossroad of boxing?
So I guess if we're like backtracking, I kind of fell into the micro influencer world. I didn't really mean for it to happen. I was modeling and just doing stuff. Um, and then I just kind of grew, and so then that opened up all these opportunities of people being like, hey, have at least this many followers, or hey, if you're an influencer doing this or doing that, like here are the things you can do. And I saw something from IFL looking for boxers, and I've always been a very scrappy kid. I have a background in martial arts, and I was just like, yeah,
You're
let's
also from
do that.
Florida. You're from Orlando.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Orlando. You're either fighting gangs or like people at Disney World.
Or gators. It really,
Yeah, you guys are weird. I don't.
yeah, I've been told we definitely we're not the most normal bunch, and that's by American standards, so you know we're bad.
Well, I'm from Vegas. I don't even. I think Vegas is weird. I think more. I think I'm just a pussy because, like, my roommate, she's from Florida. She's like, oh, a snake. I'm gonna go pick it up. I'm like, are you out of your fucking
Yeah,
mind? No.
it's a snake. You just gotta,
Exactly.
if you just grab it by the back of the head, it can't bite you. It's like
I have no
just
desire to touch those things. But
they're friends.
but you you said you're a micro influencer, but you've done everything. You've done modeling, acting.
Mhm.
You're kind of, what would you categorize yourself as? What is it that you mainly do?
Um, that's a great question. So I'm very eclectic. I think that my primary focuses um are as an athlete in boxing and acting. But besides that, I also sing and I write and I model. So I tend to kind of put myself just an athletic entertainer.
Right. You're just a performer.
Yeah.
What's are you
Uh
have you done stand-up comedy yet? Is that
I actually
coming?
did.
Yeah.
I want to get back to it. Right before the pandemic, I was starting. So I wouldn't say like I was like succeeding in stand up. But I definitely was starting and I did a few like open mics and bits and stuff like that. And then the pandemic happened, so it kind of derailed me. Super fun, completely different than improv or than comedy acting. So that was very interesting.
Yeah. The Pandemic definitely derailed my career a little bit. I was
Yeah.
the last set I did the weekend before lockdown, I co-featured. So I was the co-main
That's
event.
awesome.
And I did 25 minutes in New York. And then pandemic happened and I got out of the Navy and moved to Oklahoma. Is like so it
Sorry.
really yeah, it really set me back a lot in comedy.
Yeah.
But nah, it's definitely fun. And you said you have a martial arts background. What martial
Mhm.
was it just one or I'm assuming a few?
So, my dad has a background in a few different types of martial arts, and was a really accomplished wrestler, like wrestling, not WWE, not, you know,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So for us, I just got trained a lot by him, and then I took kung fu when I was really little, and then I did some kickboxing throughout high school. Um, yeah, and then my dad and my siblings just kind of trained me because we're all just kind of like that.
And were you the only girl or was no?
Now there's four of us total, one boy, three girls. And then with my dad being a coach, because he was an actual wrestling coach at that point, I had the entire wrestling team that treated me like a little sister. And then my brother's wrestling team treated me like a little sister. And then both my sisters did sports where I got treated like a little sister
Are you the
because I'm the
youngest?
baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. You guys didn't fight each other a lot or did you?
No, we fought each other a lot. And I'm the run. Like so they're 12, 10, 6 years older than I am. And then on top of that, I'm 5'2". The rest of them like are 5'7", 5'9", and 5'11", I think. So I'm the runt. The only person shorter than me is my mom, who also gets involved in all of this. We have hilarious videos of us wrestling. It's just it's just how we all are.
So when you got the call for boxing, like there was is so
No
easy.
doubt.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
easy.
Well, easy decision, hard training,
Well,
but
yeah.
easy decision. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like everything you've kind of dipped your toes in, it doesn't have an easy form of practice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. I definitely like a challenge. And I don't know if it's just arrogance or delusion, but I tend to think like, yeah, I can just kind of do things. I need the training, I need the schooling, but I'll pick it up. Like I got it.
A question I'm kind of curious about too, because obviously as a performer, you're not worried by audience,
Yeah.
but as a fighter, does it bother you or are you kind of accustomed to it? Because fighting in front of a crowd is just a different beast.
I heard that a lot from my like before my first fight, and I hear it during this one too, like before my last one as well. The crowd never bothered me. That never got to me. I was more concerned about being A, in a confined space, and B, having limited choice in movement. Right. So not being allowed to kick, not being allowed to grapple, not being able to throw elbows. Those things were a lot more concerning to me than the crowd. And even then, like I don't know if I just block them out, but I feel very unfazed by the crowd being there. I'm just like, yeah, it could be empty, and I would just be like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Because once the fight starts, the crowd kind of like dissipates
yeah.
into the background. But I remember just before that, seeing everybody, I used to get so nervous. In comedy, never really, but in comedy, it was weird when I'd perform. If there's always one person that wouldn't laugh, I'd always be like, "All right, what's this fucking guy's problem?" And I just
See,
focus on that
yeah,
guy.
yeah. The crowd bothers me way more with stand. I think stand up is one of the very few things that gets me with like crowds will get me because everything else I've done like singing, stage acting, boxing, any of that, because I've performed in front of thousands of people before, and I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
like they're there. But with stand up, I'll be in like I remember going to a small intimate like comedian meetup where people were just like trying jokes, like whatever. And I got on the little platform, not even a stage, and I just looked at everyone. I was like, I have forgotten every joke I've ever written.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember nothing. So this is going to be a fun 5 minutes of me rambling until I find my way.
Yeah, I love those open mics where it's like, hey, we threw this rug over a pallet. So just stand on it. That's all it is. You're just
Just
standing on a pallet in the middle of a room.
that's exactly what it is. And then someone has their phone light to let you know, like
Yeah,
30
at a
seconds, 30
usually about a
seconds.
minute or really, yeah.
Yeah.
We
Oh
had
God.
I used to love when people didn't know what that meant, like new comedians,
Yeah.
and you like wave it at them and they just wave back, and it's like, no, get the fuck off the stage. But
They just went, spotlight.
so do you have any experience in boxing prior to this? Like even as like a spectator or fan, is it a sport that you've kind of
Um,
paid attention to before?
I would say kind of paid attention to. I'm not the best at following anything. It actually it makes some of my friends and like my boyfriend kind of mad because they'll be like, "Oh, this person," and I'm like, "I have no idea who that is." And this is for everything: singers, celebrities, actors. It doesn't matter. Influencers. If I haven't met you, I probably don't know your name. Um, so I don't follow it that closely, but I follow it in terms of like I I've always respected the sport and I'm following it more closely now where I'm learning who everyone is. But prior, always respected it, always really loved watching it, but was very indifferent about who won. Like I would kind of pick based off of like, I like this person's style better when I was watching two people go at it, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah. So even now that you've kind of entered the world of boxing, you have you associated with a lot of professional fighters at all?
Yeah. Well, it's been crazy to meet some like really incredible people. Like one of my trainers is a former world champion, Justin. He's a former world champion, which is so crazy because you meet these people. Like someone at my gym, his name is Jeremy Williams. Super sweet guy. Him and his son, phenomenal. His son is on the pro circuit right now, I think. But Jeremy is like a world of like a blah, 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 Hall of Famer, and a former world champion multiple times. So he is crazy. I've met a lot of those people. A couple people currently on the circuit, but none that I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
about. Um, but they're all so incredible. That's what's really cool to me is like meeting people in this community on every level, whether it's amateur, pro, or no longer doing it, whatever. They all have such incredible things that they're good at. And like as you go higher up, it's like more and more that they're good at. But even on like that but like introductory level, still above me. But introductory level of like the amateur world, there are these like very specific things that they're so freaking good at, and then you just see the different like bricks that they need to add to the house. And that's really, I know I just kind of went on a tangent, so I'm sorry,
No,
but
no, you're
that's
good.
really cool.
Yeah, it's fighters at the highest level, the way that they dedicate and execute the craft.
Yeah,
It's so yeah, no, it's sick. It's awesome to see.
it's so sick.
It's almost it's just one of those things. It's like a chef or anything like that. It's to us it seems like a minuscule tweak, but to them it's like this is a
Every,
legitimate thing I have to
yeah.
accomplish right now. Yeah. Yeah, I could just watch guys like Shadowbox, like Shakur Stevenson for
Oh
like an
my
hour.
God.
Yeah.
That's the level that I'm hoping to get to one day, is that watching me shadow box is impressive. That's what I would like. I would like people to see me shadow box and be like, oh, I don't want to mess with her.
She knows what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your goals in boxing? Do you have like a perennial like a longevity out hopefulness, I guess, for this, or is it
Yeah.
just
So right now I'm focusing on crossover boxing and kind of the influencer circuit and just seeing, I would love to dominate, I suppose. I would really love to just kind of work my way to being recognizably the number one female boxer on the influencer circuit. That would be really cool. Or at least like either pound for pound or at least in my weight class, you know?
right?
Um, because like I don't see the point in dedicating the amount of time and effort I'm dedicating if it's not to be the best.
Right.
And I'm not the best yet, but I will be. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
like that is the goal there. And then from there, once that goal is reached, I want to kind of check in with myself, check in with my body, check in with my life, and see if it makes sense to take a step into trying to enter the pro circuit.
But you think that is a possible
It's a
scenario in your
possibility.
mind? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So it's like it's more than just the influencer scene, which no
Yeah.
disrespect to that, but they're
Oh,
completely
yeah,
different
no.
sports, you know?
I was literally just explaining that to my mom because I was trying to I was trying to break down because she was having a hard time understanding. She's like, "Well, what if one day they try to put you against like the Serena Williams of female boxing?" And I'm like, "Mom, that's not
Yeah.
I'm not in that world yet. Like that's not something that's gonna happen."
Fight three, just fucking Katie Taylor. Cla Clarissa. You know what though? Hey,
Just knocked out.
in real boxing though, like some gyms, they'll do that to you. I remember
Yeah.
I lived in New Jersey for 4 years. That's where I was a recruiter
Yeah.
out of. And we had to go to this gym called Ike and Randy's in Patterson, New Jersey, which is not the
Okay.
it's a pretty rough city. I mean,
It's yeah.
that's where Fetty Wap is from. But you probably don't know who that is. I forgot you don't know people. Uh
I've heard the name. Oh my God.
yeah. It's okay. I just found out who Jack Harlow was like a week ago. But we go in there and I'm like 160 pounds maybe.
Mm.
And they're like, how much do you weigh? I was like 160. They're like, okay, you're gonna go with this guy. And I get in there and this dude just beat the shit out of me. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And they're like, oh, he's a pro. Uh, I'm like,
But
I
that's how you
had
get better. That's
yeah.
how you get better.
He
Like
had 8 professional fights and like over 90 amateur fights and was 3 years older than me. But because we were 5 pounds apart, we were equal.
they're like, yeah, like they'll figure it out.
Yeah, just wrecked my shit.
It's funny. I think every gym I've gone to so far, or every the two primary gyms I've gone to so far, they I don't get put in with people in my weight class primarily. I'm getting put in with people a lot bigger than I am and a lot more experienced than I am, which I love. It feels like such a challenge, and it's. I'm not gonna lie, like so there's some one of the people I spar with. His name's Eric. He's not like a lot bigger than I am. He weighs more, but he's not a lot bigger than I am. But he's a lot more experienced than I am, and he's a lot better than I am. But it was so fun because we like have sparred a few times, and then I saw him like level up. So even though he was still beating me by a lot, I saw that he like leveled up in terms of how he was fighting with me, which means I got better. You know what
Right.
I mean? So like I love I don't know. Maybe I'm a masochist. I love getting my ass kicked in the gym and like sparring with people that I'm just like, oh, there's no way in hell I'm gonna win, but I'm gonna try.
Right. Yeah. So is he a professional or is he an influencer fighter like yourself?
Oh, Eric, he's a professional. He has his professional debut this month actually.
Oh, sick.
Like in a few days.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so have you had any like professional fighters like reach out to you, give you advice, train with you, anything like that yet?
Not that I've met outside of my gym. Like I've
Okay.
had some words of encouragement and stuff of people being like, "You got this," and then again, I'll have no idea who they are, and I'm like, "Thanks, you're the best." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, so and so messaged me," and people will be like, "You mean this person?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess." Like I'm not the best at that.
Hey, who the hell is Errol Spence? Like, no, like you don't know? You don't know? Wait, what?
I'm telling you, I'm not. I'm so bad with names. You know what's really messed up? If you show me their face, I'll know who they are. I know faces so well. I think it's something in my brain. I'm so good at faces. And if I meet you, I'll know your name forever. But if I haven't met you, then I only know people by their face and their name is just like, yeah, whatever.
Okay. I guess
Like
that's fair.
yeah. So I really wish everyone had like a picture aid every time they bring someone up. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Like a pop-up next to my head.
Yeah. That'd
Yeah.
be awesome. Make that happen for me, okay?
I'm gonna try. Let me talk to
Thanks.
God. I don't know who I go to about that.
Talk to Elon, you know what I mean? Be like, hey,
Yeah.
just make a little glasses hologram.
Okay, so you know who Elon is. That's a start.
Yeah, I know.
He might be fighting. Isn't it ridiculous that he might be
I
fighting?
saw that
Yeah.
that
See, all
I
right.
don't, yeah, you know what? I appreciate anyone who is willing to step into the ring and has the guts to do that. Now, I think that there's so many other things that those two people could be doing to help our world. But sure, if they want to go beat each other up, they
Yeah.
can, I can live vicariously through them.
But that's kind of like I'm the a little opposite of you. Like I know
Yeah.
athletes like the back of my hand,
Yeah.
football, especially boxing. But when it comes to influencers, I don't know who you guys are.
I don't know. I don't know who anyone is either.
Like
That's
I I got when I interviewed Albert, I had to be honest with him. I was like, dude, I thought you were a boxer. I didn't know who you were because he has like
yeah.
250,000 followers. I'm like, who is
Yeah.
and then I found out
He's
he
awesome.
went to a prom with Kylie Jenner. Like I know who
Yeah.
she is, but I
Yeah.
don't pay attention to their lives. Like it's just
I get that.
yeah, it's
We're kind of on the
not
same
for
page
me.
there.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, I don't know celebrities, but I can tell you all the influencers of LA. I only know the ones I met and the ones that I like have my eyes on for fighting. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's good then. I guess a
Yeah.
small I guess less things in your head like that is good though. It lets you kind of do your own thing because I get
Yeah.
too caught up into shit sometimes. But
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm such a chismosa. Like I love like I, my boyfriend makes fun of me a lot because I like knowing the stuff, but not about celebrities. I'm like, I want to know real people's stuff. I couldn't care less about who's getting divorced in Hollywood.
no,
But then I'll listen for hours. Like
they
if
all
you
cheat
decided to
on each
tell
other
me,
anyway.
it makes me so sad. But anyways, but like if you wanted to tell me now that I've met you, I'm like if you wanted to tell me your life story, I would be fascinated.
Right.
But I could not care less what Kendall Jenner, Kylie Jenner, any of them are doing with their lives.
No, none. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's weird. Do
it's
you
very
get
parasocial.
because I talk to fighters every week, but
Yeah,
they being in the boxing world in any facet, you're gonna deal with hate. I get it on my post
yeah,
because I post a lot. I make and post a lot of boxing memes because that's why it's
love
called
that.
Punchlines. It's a comedy podcast, comedy boxing. So boxing fans on the professional side is
Yeah,
very occultish. These guys
I could see that.
worship these men,
Yeah,
and it's like if you say anything at all even remotely critical, they defend men that they've never met almost the same way like
yep.
people in the like who talk politics like that are like if you
Ooh,
criticize
yeah,
X, Y, or Z, it's like they go nuts. That's how, so. But fighters get the most ridiculous DMs.
yeah.
Now, I don't know if you do. I'm sure you get wild messages because you're an attractive woman, and I know you
Oh,
guys
thanks.
get the most ridiculous shit sent your way. But have
Yeah, a lot
you
of marriage proposals. That's
what from just like random dudes in India or
just
something?
random people. I had someone offer me like $20,000. They were like, marry me. And I was like, I don't know you. No. And
That's
I don't know how real any of that is, but I'm just like, no.
that's just so insane. Like I've sent like I mean,
You've slid into a few DMs.
oh yeah,
They're
never, but never like
never weird. Yeah.
never. I wouldn't say that, but never like. I used to have a drinking problem. I'd say wild shit, but I've never like
Yeah, fair.
slid into the DMs of like a celebrity and was like, "Hey, what's up?" You know, like never
Yeah.
like I hit up fighters for interviews like a freak, but I
Yeah.
don't like ask
But that's
women.
normal, right? Like relatively normal for what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. People are weird. I'm very lucky in terms of like I don't get a lot of hate if that's like sorry, is that's where we're going with the
Kind
question,
of,
right?
yeah, just
Okay.
ridiculous shit.
Yeah. I think like the most I've gotten, like there's like I've gotten a few spam accounts where like they're so silly. Like I posted something um for Puerto Rico being like, hey, donate, they need money. Like they're trying to rebuild an infrastructure and we're abandoned by America. Um, but I posted something like that, and then I get a message that was like, who the F do you think has money to donate in this economy? And and I was like, you can
Oh,
just not. You can just not.
you know what though?
Like
That's just one of those people who wake up angry and looking for a
angry.
reason to express it.
Yeah.
I
And then
feel,
like it's yeah, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say like stuff like that always blows my mind because I've gotten a lot of that because I'm also very political on my stories. Um, so like I think I've gotten the most hate with that is being like you don't know anything. Like I was very neutral about certain things that have like gone on because I very much took the stance of like the Palestinian Israeli conflict. I was like, I feel very ignorant. I don't feel like I have enough understanding of the matter to know what's going on. But this is like the unbiased news that I know. And I got hate from both sides being like, you don't care about Jewish people. You don't care about Palestinians. I'm like, whoa, I care a lot. I just am admitting that I am ignorant and don't know. Like, so I've gotten mostly hate from that. And then guys that got mad at me ignoring them.
Oh, those dudes are
Yeah. That's other than that, though, it's been pretty. And, you know, my opponent ran her mouth a lot. Other than those things, I've been very blessed. I'm sure it'll come eventually, but I've been very blessed on like mostly I get very positive, happy messages, which make me
good.
happy.
Yeah, but dudes getting mad that you ignored them. That is a legitimate mental
Blows my
illness.
mind.
It's a
It
mental illness for
mental
sure.
illness. I had someone that they literally switched from like they hearted all of my stuff and would be like, when can I take you out? When can I meet you? And never responded. Never. And then they kept following and unfollowing me, which is why I ended up clicking on their messages because I don't really check my requests that often. And so I ended up checking his request and it was like and then all of a sudden it switched into you can't fight for shit. Like you're gonna get knocked out. And this is before I even had my fight announced that you're trash, lol, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, bro. And then they blocked me. And I was like, bro, I don't even know you.
Just a regular ass guy,
It's a regular guy.
like
I was like, dude.
32 followers. Yeah, follows 1,300. Yeah. I get messages from guys like
Yeah.
that all the time. I have a guy that I,
Uh,
I think it's a guy, I don't know. He doesn't have a picture, but they keep telling me they want to fight me. I'm like, okay,
let's do
bro.
it.
Yeah, I'll fight this fucking ghost. But yeah, I
Oh,
have
that's funny.
Russian people tag me in Russian shit all the time. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying.
It's like I do not speak this. I am sorry,
I'm
but
just,
yeah.
but no, that's
Oh,
yeah. Boxing. If your opponent talks shit though, that's good. Shit talking is like one of the best parts of boxing if it's good.
yeah. It's. I think there's a line personally, but that's just my. I don't know. I think that's just my own thing. I just think that there's definitely lines that I don't think should be crossed, but also I don't want to impose my ethics on other people.
No,
So they can
but
represent themselves however they want.
but
Whatever.
it sells though. You know what you got to do?
It does sell. It does sell. Yeah.
You got to do some Kobe Bryant shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what that guy used to do? He would guard guys and then he would just shout. He would just say random dates to them and they'd be like, "What are these dates?" And they'd look it up. It was their family members' birthdays. Like he was nuts with it. You got to do shit like that. Like it's not
That's
unethical.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, you got to
That's
do
so funny.
crazy. You got to fuck with people's heads. Like, what is
Yeah.
this person?
Yeah. Well, what I realized, because this whole like, because this was this, I definitely think it's something to get used to. I'm not a public beef person. I kind of like I was cool with it because I'm like, you know, like it's a fight and I'm gonna talk trash, like whatever. Because I'm fine with trash talking, but I'm not. I've never really had public drama or public issues. I'm very private as a person, as much as I can be, anyways. So I think that was something to get used to. And being bombarded with it, where it was like getting tagged in 10 stories that each had giant paragraphs every single day
By
was
your
just a lot.
opponent?
Yeah. I was like, bro, this is a lot. I was like, how do you have this much to say? Like, this is a lot.
Did you know who she was before you got scheduled to fight her?
Like we had talked a couple of times, but we weren't like homies or anything.
Who is she? I've never heard of
That's
her.
a That's a great. Yeah, that's a great question. She is an influencer who made her following, and this is something she has said, so this is not me talking trash, has made her following because she makes friends with very big influencers, and that is how she's created her following.
So she rides coattails, essentially.
Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah.
So what does she do though? That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's a great question. I don't know.
I know people. Like,
That's she smokes weed.
oh
I
hell
don't I
yeah,
don't
that's what's up.
yeah, like
I
I
can
mean,
get behind that.
yeah, it's a solid movement, but that's literally all I know about her. Like in terms of what she does. I know she represents smoking a lot of weed and being friends with people who are successful. The,
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a pretty sick gig. If I got offered a
yeah,
job,
whatever works for her.
like, hey, you want to get high and just hang out with people? I'd be like, all right. I think I
Yeah,
have the qualifications to do this, but
I
I
think I
don't
can
know.
hang out. I can be entertained.
I
Yeah.
know Adams, shout out to Adams Boxing. My boy Carlos, use code Punchlines 10 to
Yeah.
get 10% off. He has a new ambassador wearing the shoes now, and she fights on that
That's so cool.
the Zone X series, the Misfits thing, their
Yeah.
whole influencer fight league over there that like KSI does and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know what she does. I can't remember her name, but she's the one at her weigh-in. She called her opponent, and this is her words, not mine. She called her a fucking bitch, and then threw a fish at her. Like just threw a fish
I
at her.
saw that.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
What an
I
insane thing to do, though. Like I've seen people, like everybody
dude,
freaked out on Devin Haney. You know who that is.
yeah.
You know who that is, right? Please tell me you know who that is.
I need the
Oh,
face. I need the face. I'm sorry. I
oh.
need the
Okay,
face.
all right. Let me pull it up. In his last fight, he shoved the shit out of his opponent pretty bad.
Yeah.
Everybody freaked out about it. I'm like, dude, this girl threw a fish at somebody. You know how
Well,
mad I would be?
influencers are freaking crazy, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I like, and I'm not, I'm talking about the community. I'm not talking about anyone specifically. As a community, the amount that a lot of us are willing to do, I'm just going to say us since I'm part of the community, but like the amount that a lot of us are willing to do just for clout and attention is so crazy to me. It's so freaking wild. The amount of how much people want like that viral moment. And maybe that's why I'm not more successful. I need to jump on this bandwagon, but like,
Well, you mean like filming yourself in front of a guy who killed himself in a forest? Yeah.
like how, like, what I don't it I don't understand. I can't wait for the day because I was a psych major in school. Well, I was a neuroscience major, but I studied psych in school. And the amount I can't wait for us to have studies on influencers within abnormal psychology because there has to be something wrong with most of us. There just has to be. Like,
You know who I think is more messed up in the head?
hmm,
People who aren't influencers but think they are.
bro, yeah, yeah.
I've at Lowe's, because I work at Lowe's as well. I've
Hmm.
almost ran over like 3 people with a forklift filming a fucking TikTok in the middle of an aisle. Like, what are you like just doing some stupid ass dance? And
Oh god,
it's like, what are
it's a
you doing?
forklift.
Like, if you were a celebrity, you wouldn't be standing in plumbing right now. Okay. Like, you had 51
Oh gosh.
followers. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm kind of guilty of it because it's like I feel like, oh man, I have to post today so I can get activity, but I'm not like, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
so
We live in a
hilarious
weird
to me.
world. Because
Yeah.
like because on one hand, I want to encourage everyone like make your artistic pursuits. If you want to be a creator, be a creator. Like I absolutely encourage trying. Like do the things. But like consider other people. That's
Right.
the biggest thing. Like how are you existing in a way that you're the only one who exists? I don't
Well, everybody's the main character of a movie right now. Everybody.
Oh my gosh.
And
I
it's absurd.
No.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
don't, like I said, I didn't know who Andrew Tate was until everybody said I had to hate him. And I'm like,
Same.
I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I know, I obviously know who Joe Rogan is,
Yeah.
as a comedian and a fight fan.
I
Everybody,
know these names. I'm getting some
yeah.
names.
But
Yeah.
the, I guess like the religious following these people get, it's weird
It
to
blows
me.
my mind.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And
It very parasocial.
but it's just such a dynamic in life in almost
Hmm.
every avenue, and kind of like what you brought up earlier. It's like you're allowed to have an opinion, but you're only
Hmm.
allowed like two options. You can't if you're
Facts.
if you support anything liberal, then obviously you're like a communist, socialist, whatever. But if you
Yep.
support
Snowflake.
anything conservative, you're racist, you hate poor people and all this shit. And it's like,
Yeah. It's scary. I mean, the extremism across the board. I was actually just having a conversation about this recently, but the extremism in this country and kind of like the almost like tribalism, where it's like, this is my belief, and everyone who has my belief, we're good. Everyone else, you're terrible. Like it's very weird and it's very scary to me because people get very closed off to their echo chambers.
right.
And then, like, how are we supposed to be innovative? How are we supposed to find solutions? How are we supposed to find middle ground or find where we're wrong if we're not listening to the other side? Now, granted, I don't need to listen to like a neo-Nazi to know that they're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, they can stay over there, but majority of conservatives are not Nazis, and majority of liberals are not.
Communist.
I don't even want to say communist because I don't think communism is inherently bad. No, I'm not a communist, but I don't think it's inherently bad. But most of them are not like Stalin communists.
No, but see, that's the problem
Yeah.
though. With most beliefs, you know, nobody factors in the actual human element. They
Yeah.
like that's what ruins everything. That's what ruined democracy, capitalism, communism
Yeah.
is people who want power, people who want control. They look at this, they the same way a boxer would. They're like, okay, where can I exploit this? Where can I take advantage of it to
Oh,
benefit me?
absolutely.
And then they find it. That's the
Yeah. And
problem
that's
with
not,
everything.
mhm. And I completely agree. I don't, what I will say is like, I don't think majority of people are like that, but I think the people who actively seek power are disproportionately like that.
Which is what people are doing now though. Like
No, absolutely.
that's what cancel culture what it is, because
Yeah.
a lot of it was justified because a lot of people did, like Harvey Weinstein's a piece of shit, but
Facts.
then somebody like I
Yeah.
can't even think of anybody, like there was a whole petition going on to get Netflix to remove Adam Sandler movies because he votes Republican. That's absurd to me.
Man, like, and especially coming from Florida, like, I feel like a lot of people don't take into account what other people have gone through, right? So, like in Florida, for example, we have a lot of communities here that immigrated from countries where specifically socialism got so bad that they had to leave those countries as refugees. They're obviously going to be a little bit more scared
Right.
about voting on socialist policies. Like that just makes sense. And I think to discredit that and be like, no, they're just like terrible people. I'm like, how are you not like it's such a lack of compassion. And I don't know, I'm not just talking about liberals because people on the conservative side do this too, right? But there's such a lack of compassion and human understanding just across the board.
There's an unwillingness to even try though.
Yeah. And it blows my mind because I'm like, I don't, and maybe I'm just like, I don't know, maybe we're just different because we've lived in multiple places. We've been like immersed in different things. But so maybe that's like part of the luck of it. But I don't really understand where like it almost feels like you would have to actively choose that disconnect. And
Right.
that's what doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, I feel like being compassionate and being empathetic is innately human. So you have to actively choose to ignore those things to not take them into consideration, if that makes any sense.
Right. Because it all boils down to people's unwillingness to admit like incorrectness. Like, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or that they don't know something.
Right. That's like they're like, nope, this is right. It's always right. And if like, I don't know. I grew up with a journalist for a father. So I saw
I get that.
two
Okay.
different two different like views, like all the shit that he would get for stuff that he would write. So
Yeah.
it's like that's what really opened my eyes to like, oh, this world's weird, you know,
It's
but
weird, especially because a journalist's entire job is to seek truth. That's like
right.
the goal, or it should
Not
be the
not
goal.
anymore.
Yeah.
Because like
Now it's
even
to tell your story.
right, but even like what you were saying, like it takes away people's ability to be innovative. I see it a lot. I see it in comedy,
Yeah.
I see it in movies, you see it how companies market themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like nothing is about actual marketing anymore. The new marketing program is to either
Mm.
pander or create fake outrage, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like the new Little Mermaid movie, when a lot of outrage was coming out over the fact that she's black. And I'm sure there was just stupid, ridiculous comments out there. I'm sure it did
It's
exist.
ridiculous. Yeah.
But the way they marketed it was like it was just this huge problem. So we're standing up against it. I was like, I don't think most people care. But
Yeah.
I think I think you're using the fake outrage with the climate that we have and how gravitated towards that type of argument people are to create publicity for the movie. And it
Yeah.
worked. Or even now, like in June, it is good to see a lot of companies doing stuff for pride, I guess. But at the same time, like I can easily see it's like, well, where were they before
Yeah.
it became popular to do it?
I can definitely see that. I don't I don't know. I definitely heard a lot of ignorant shit about the Little Mermaid movie. But I think I'm also like I'm very pro representation, I guess. So
Right.
like I'm already so political, so maybe that's why because I was like in it because I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So like I heard a lot of ignorant stuff, but I can definitely see how it would have been utilized to create like to blow it up. So I can definitely hear you on that. For the June stuff, it makes me mad every June because these
Why?
companies don't actually care.
No.
So like so I like I'm very I'm a part of the LGBT community. I love it. It's great. Whatever. It's my life. And every June, it's companies who I'm sitting there and I'm like, you don't care. Are you donating to any actual causes? Or like where were exactly what you said? Where were you when this wasn't cool, when it wasn't necessary? Like is all of this getting pulled off the shelves as soon as June is over? Like, and what's the actual message? Are you like further sexualizing the community? Are you doing this? Like, there's no actual thought behind it other than rainbow.
Right. That's
And
it.
I'm like, bro, and it can feel so dehumanizing. And that's it, which is exactly what we're talking about, right? It's that lack of empathy and compassion and understanding of humans. It's all right, it's June, gotta check the rainbow box.
Yeah. Just like when the
It,
NFL used to do their breast cancer shit, where players would wear like pink cleats, but like
yeah,
no money actually went
to research or anything.
yeah.
And I'm like, it's at that point, you're just doing it. It's for clout. That's it. You're just doing it to say you did it. And I'm like, how does that not like corrode your soul? How does that not bother you?
But you see regular ass people do it too. Whenever
Oh,
anything comes
absolutely.
up, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a social media post about this," and
Yeah.
then that counts as me doing something, and I
Yeah.
get to think
Oh
that
God.
I'm gonna put this
I'm an activist.
Ukrainian holographic flag over my face on Facebook, like
To let everyone know Ukraine exists and they're
right.
in trouble.
It's
Like,
ridiculous.
yeah, it stuff like that bothers me. And I understand not everyone, because like, so I've been into humanitarian work like my whole life. I've volunteered since I was a kid. Like I've gone to other countries to work at animal sanctuaries. Like I have a lot of very, it's what I just like doing it,
Oh
right?
yeah, you've been all over Africa, right?
Not Africa, not yet.
Oh, I
No.
thought that's what I read
Lat
in the article.
Latin America.
Oh, okay, okay.
No. Africa's on my list, but every time I try to go to the continent in any regard, I tried to go to Egypt, I tried to go to South Africa. Um, I have a lot on my list. But the few times I've tried to go to the continent, something's happened and I can't. And it sucks. Like this last time, I was actually supposed to move to South Africa, and then Omicron hit right before, and the country got shut down. Um, which it shouldn't have been, but that's a whole other discussion. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm
that
not
was
gonna get into that.
yeah, that's anyways. Um, but yeah, so South Africa got shut down literally like a month before I was supposed to leave. Like I was buying my ticket and then I saw it on the news and I was like, cool. But anyways, yeah, so I'm very like I go to protests, I'm very petition like I sign petitions almost daily. Not and I'm not being sanctimonious about it, but just like I am it is something I'm passionate about. So it does get frustrating when I see people do exactly what you said, where it's just like, oh, here's a flag. And I'm like, I understand not everyone can donate money. I understand not everyone can donate time. I understand not everyone has the resources or the ability to do stuff like that. Everybody can sign a petition, minus felons. Everybody can sign a petition. Like, you only have so many excuses to not be an actual part of the solution. And putting like a black box for Black Lives Matter, if you're not doing anything else, your black box on Instagram does nothing.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
No, it's just an image thing, is all it is.
Yeah.
That's going back to boxing though. That's one of the
Yeah. What this
coolest
is
things.
about.
Yeah, it's okay. That's one of the coolest things about boxing though, is that it's a sport that has kind of is inherently combat, obviously. That's what the whole
Yeah.
thing is. But it's been used, a lot of guys have used it to fight shit like that. I mean, Muhammad Ali is a perfect example of it. And even South Africa.
Amazing.
Here's a cool story about
Yeah.
South Africa. There was this boxer way back in the day, one of the great boxers. His name's Bob Foster. He's a black guy. He's from New Mexico. And he actually won a heavyweight title, I want to say in 1971, in
Mm.
South Africa during apartheid against the white guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
of a very very cool story. And then even nowadays, most boxers come from the bottom. They come
Yeah.
from adversity of every walks of life. You have world champion boxers from Ukraine who went to go serve for their country. You have uh even a guy like Caleb Plant, a white guy from Tennessee. This guy
Hmm.
grew up in a trailer. His first boxing gym was this old like office that his dad bought, and they didn't even have a boxing ring. Guys had to stand in a circle holding hands to keep people from falling out. You
Yeah.
know, then he won a couple amateur national championships. He had
That's
a
incredible.
daughter. His daughter was one and she passed away. And then a few months later, his mom passed away. And now this guy, he's fought Canelo. He just fought, his last three fights have been
Yeah.
pay-per-view main events. So he's like, everybody has just these cool stories that they come from. And they've been fighting
Yeah.
their whole life, you know, in a concrete and an abstract way. You know,
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite parts about the sport is just everything that these guys have come from to get to where they're at. And
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And I think so much of it really is just like it adversity is what like adversity maketh the man, right? Like adversity is what creates that warrior spirit. It's what gives you the heart to fight.
it either makes you a fighter or it makes you a perennial victim.
Mm,
And you see that a lot now. Everybody is some sort of victim. And I think we all have
hmm.
problems, but it's like if you're always a victim, you're always a loser in a way. Like not a loser
Yeah.
like, oh, that guy's a
Yeah.
loser, but like you're always losing from your own
Losing.
words. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I went through this, but this is what I became. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And there's so much behind that, right? Because even when we look at like, not to be super heavy about it, but like if we talk about sexual assault survivors, like we specifically use, because I've worked at women's shelters and like as a crisis counselor, we use the word survivor. You don't use victim. And
Right.
it's so much of it is what you're saying. It's because you don't want that victim mentality. You don't want to like perpetuate it. You don't want to propagate it. You don't want it. I don't understand it's weird to me how cool it is for people who haven't been through certain adversities to start claiming them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's perpetuated by exactly what you're talking about, where it's like everyone needs to be a victim right now. And I'm like, there are actual victims in this world. There are legitimate ones. And a lot of them become fighters. And you don't need to become a fighter in whatever respect. I mean, like metaphorically, but also physically. You don't need to become a fighter to validate victimhood, but it just feels so disrespectful how being a victim is like social currency at the moment.
Oh yeah. Or
It's
using
weird.
other people's adversity. Like the amount of people
Yeah,
who tweet and post about,
it's
I don't,
weird.
all right, from your couch or from a Starbucks, you're tweeting about Mexican immigrant issues as they're literally going to work because they don't have time to be a victim. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They work their
And
asses off.
and there's definitely a difference between being a oh my gosh, what's the word I want? An ambassador almost, but I don't necessarily mean ambassador, like a representative. There's a difference between being like a representative and an ambassador for an issue and utilizing that issue to put a spotlight on yourself. Those are
Right.
two different things, right? Advocate. That's the word I wanted. There's a
Okay.
difference between being an advocate versus being an attention seeker.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no,
it,
because it's a form of being an influencer. It's like instead of like having people watch what you eat in a day, you're just like telling everybody
talking about
what they're
other people's
doing.
problems.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're yours. I hate it. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
And I mean, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I post about a lot of issues, right?
But you're actively involved though at the same time.
Yeah, and
Not just on your phone.
yeah, and I think that like I don't mean to be like that's what makes me different because I think that there's a lot of incredible advocates out there, but it's just so many people. It's so many people being like, I'm feeding a homeless person.
Yeah, I hate that.
Go help your community today.
The
And I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
the thoughts and prayers mafia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
it
don't like
it's scary.
I don't get involved with any of it because at the end of the day, I might be cynical, but it's like my opinion doesn't matter. My vote doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Nothing's gonna change. And if in 10 years it's gonna be new things we're talking about. Because
Yeah.
it's like look, if our votes really mattered, why are we still arguing about the same things like
Mm,
abortion, gay rights, whatever decades
yeah.
later? How come all these people you vote for who you say apparently care, how come nothing gets done? We're always fighting about the
Yeah.
same things. The only thing that changes is financials.
Yeah.
Everything's about money. So it's like
Most I would say mostly. I think it's about money and community. Because I think that that's where we can actually see change. We're not like because I've kind of given up hope government wise, but we if I the actual change comes by coming together as a community by creating those like because that's the only way to keep each other safe, right? Is when you come together as a group of people and you go, no, I'm protecting this group, I'm protecting this person, or I'm lifting them up. That is what starts. And I think a lot of it does come down to money because you are giving resources, reallocating our resources inwardly so that we can start propping each other up is the only way that there's going to be legitimate change. But I think that it is changeable. Not to
right.
try and change your mind, but I do think it is changeable. I just think that we have to have that compassion and empathy that for some reason so many people are freaking missing right now.
Yeah. Well, it's like it just goes back to what we said. People want to have an opinion that becomes a fact, and
Yeah.
the only
Yeah.
way it becomes a fact is if you agree with them. So that's why I all I care about is sports, pretty much. Like I love boxing. That's all I
Yeah. Well, because you can't like, I mean, you can, but you can't lie in boxing.
no,
Like
not at all.
it's like you're gonna see if someone's pulling punches. You're gonna see what's happening. Like at the end of the day, like you when you beat someone up, you beat someone up. Like
Right.
it is what it is. Yeah.
That's what I loved about it when I did it because when I'd have a shitty ex-girlfriend who cheated on me, I didn't know why she cheated on me. When I got bullied, I
Yeah.
didn't know why I got bullied. But
Yeah.
when I fought, if I won, I got that credit.
Yeah.
And if I
As you should.
lost, then I had to own that. And I knew why I
Yeah.
lost. And I had the opportunity to correct it through training.
Yeah.
And uh it's very rewarding. Like I'm sure you felt it in your most recent win. You're like, I won that. I trained for that.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, she tries to take it away from you, but she can't. Nobody,
Exactly.
because that's what it comes down to. Opinions. People can have opinions, but it won't
Yeah.
change the result of what happened.
Yeah. I actually I just got on Twitter. But I tweeted something like that recently where I was like, just because you lie loudly doesn't make it reality.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't it like facts are facts. If
Yeah.
someone beat you up, they beat you up. And like it can't really
No,
get much more clear outside of that.
you made her do the stanky leg. She looked like me after I got done using the bathroom for like 45 minutes at work. Like just wobbling all over the place, like her legs were
Yeah.
sore. It,
Yeah.
you're on vacation now back home in Florida, where you're from.
Yeah.
Uh
I'm going to a bachelorette.
oh, not that sounds cool for you, but that sounds miserable to me. But when do you plan to return back to LA and getting back into the gym?
So I come back Monday and I'm hoping to immediately get back to training.
And do you have a tentative date lined up for when your next fight is?
Hopefully within the next few months
Cool,
is all
cool.
I'm really allowed to say.
Yeah, I get it. And you're on Instagram at Nikki Hru, NIKKIHRU. Where else can people find
Yes.
you? Is it the same thing on Twitter and TikTok as well?
Yeah. Anything I'm on, that's where it is.
So you
That's
have, well, what do you have so I can put it on the screen
um
here?
I do have TikTok, but I'm like never on it. I do have TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I am on YouTube. I don't really have anything on there,
Right.
but I exist, and I'll probably be posting more.
So what are you most active on? IG?
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then do you have any sponsors or ambassadorships that you'd like to give a shout out to before we get you out of here?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, I would love to shout out a couple people. Buff Bear, who like makes really dope shorts. They're actually Florida native. Um, then Revolted Soul, who woman owned in Texas. She's super cool. They donate to cancer research. And that's going to be men and women activewear. Nature Beyond Threads, which is really good for yoga wear, women. And I know I have more. Oh, Riot, which is a healthy energy drink that uses green tea.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I think you should look up Good Earth. They make these
Okay.
fabric or laundry detergent sheets, and they come in cardboard packaging.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, so it helps with water use. It helps with, like, obviously, like plastics and everything. And
Yeah.
what's really cool is when you go to buy from them online, uh, they donate to charity, but they have a long list of different types of charities that you can donate to: women's rights, gay rights, veterans' rights. So it's like it's
Oh,
a
I
full
love that.
spectrum. It's not just one side leaning. So it's pretty cool. I would definitely look into them and reach
That's
out to them
awesome.
for sure.
Absolutely.
But no, this has been an awesome interview, a little unorthodox. I don't
Yeah, I
normally
know.
get
We
this. It's
tangented.
okay. It's all right. I
Political
talk about,
podcast.
yeah, this is not a professional podcast. It's all right. But definitely not a political one either. I don't hardly do it. Like,
Not usually. Yeah.
yeah,
I have that effect. I
I,
don't.
I had a former world champion on here named Tony Harrison. Awesome dude. And we spent like 30 minutes just talking football and basketball. So it's all right.
I love that.
If you
I love
guys
that.
do want to check her out with more professional interviews, she's been on a few of my really good friends, guys that I've had on here. My boy Jose from over at Mo Boxing No Problem. I know she's been on his
Mhm.
show. Shout out to him. I love Jose. She's also been on my boy Zulki's the Boxing Fight podcast. He's a cool dude too, huh?
Yeah.
He's yeah,
Honestly, they both are.
yeah, and it's so cool too because in our community, the boxing podcast or media community,
Mm.
we're all pretty cool with each other. Like we all go on
Good.
each other's shows. We do IG lives together.
Yeah,
I talk to Zolki and Jose almost every week, if not
I love that.
yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's awesome seeing that you do interviews for them. Have you got the Adams shoes yet, by the way? I'm just
No,
curious.
I haven't.
No? Okay. If you want to do custom with him next time, I can definitely get
Yeah,
you into contact with him.
that'd
Uh,
be awesome.
Me and him are really close. We had the same boxing coach. That's how we know each other.
Oh, I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, it's really sick. Um, but no, the shoes are awesome. He has a bunch of like big name ambassadors too. I'm not gonna say their names
Yeah.
because if you say you don't know who they are, the boxing fans watching this are gonna get pretty pissed off. People are people are already gonna be pissed off that you don't know Errol Spence or Devin Haney. They're gonna be like, "Who is this?" But
I know, guys. I'm working on it, so I'm gonna make flashcards. I know faces. I promise.
no, it's got to be a Florida thing. My roommate's the same way. The other day, she told me she didn't know Tom Hanks, she didn't know Renee Zellweger, and it's like every time she says that, it's like
I
I
don't know
short
Renee
circuit.
Zellweger.
What? You've never seen
I
Jerry
know the name.
Maguire?
Oh, okay. See, okay.
His
See, like
his
I just need context,
the love
and then I'll
interest.
start getting them.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and then I'll start getting it. I just need like more than a name because I recognize the name, but I'm like I can't find the file it's attached to in my head.
Also, she's a great shit talker. She was dating
Oh,
Kenny
I love that.
Chesney. I think she was married to Kenny Chesney, the country singer. And then when they broke up, I think she told everybody he was gay. I'm like, damn, like probably
That's
not
cold.
true. Yeah,
That's
but
cold.
that's pretty funny, dude.
No.
My ex, this is how evil she was. But as a troll, I gotta take my hat off to her because it was good. When we were dating, we had a
Yeah.
horrible relationship. It was like the
Yeah.
textbook definition of toxic on both sides. But
Yeah.
she started seeing a therapist, and she would tell me everything the therapist. She's like, "Yeah, she wants me to break up with you. Like she thinks you're gay." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And then came to find out she never even saw a therapist. She just saying this shit to me. I'm like,
Oh, that's crazy.
at the
That's so
time I
fucked
was
up.
oh, at the time I was pissed, but now I'm like, dude, that's pretty good. She outfoxed the fox. Like I have to respect it. I have to respect as a troll. I have to
Yeah.
respect that. It's hilarious. At the
That's
time though, I was
crazy.
like, dude, I'm gonna find this there. I was so mad at this lady every day that wasn't even real. It's like,
That's so funny.
but no,
Like that's terrible, but that's so funny.
but enjoy Florida.
Thank you.
Watch out for the gators and the people. Uh,
It's
don't
okay. I'm a native. I know how to blend.
how what do? You just like throw a dip in and go surf or fucking whatever?
Just right here, just the whole
Oh,
time. Make
yeah.
sure I have my little bottle of black water.
Just have a gun
Um,
on you for no yeah, have a gun on your hip with board shorts and flip-flops. That's the most
no, what dude, one of my friends, legitimately, he was on parole. He wasn't allowed to leave during one of our category 4 hurricanes because they were like, "Oh, you're on parole. We don't care if you die." So he was stayed here. He went freaking like not boogie boarding, but he went on his board because the streets were full of water. So
that's a
he just
pimp.
like through the streets.
Eh. See, I'm from Vegas. We have
What a G.
tweakers. In Vegas,
Yeah,
we
yeah, I
have
know.
tweakers, bro. Like
Yeah. No, we're
Olympics.
chilling.
Olympics comes around every 4 years with some
Yeah.
of the best athletes in the world. I could not give a fuck. I've pulled my car over to watch meth heads take apart a car without tools. Like it's that's how great Vegas is. Like they're just insane people.
Oh,
We
that's
have
amazing.
tweaker.
Yeah.
You guys have meth heads that are sober. It's insane. It's the it's the craziest thing. I would live
Yeah.
there though. Like it's like
This
you
is
don't have to
cool.
worry about snow. Because
Yeah.
I live in Boise and I fucking hate it here so much.
Then move.
Well,
Not to be like that. But I'm like,
I'm
yeah.
here for school though. So it's like
Oh, got it, got it,
and
got
I
it.
use the GI Bill, so I get paid to go to school. So it works out. But
Thank
like
you, Mom.
there's nothing to do here except go hiking, which is not my thing. But
Yeah.
you're just walking through the woods till you get tired. But Have fun at your bachelorette. Enjoy Florida. Good luck in the next fight. If you get a fight date, let me know. I'll definitely post it. And
Absolutely.
it's been a great interview, and I thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was so lovely. Sorry, there's a dog now, but it was
It's
so
all right.
lovely talking to you. You have a great rest of your day, and enjoy your time in Boise for as long as you're there.
Thank you very much, guys. She's been
All
Nikki
right.
Hru. Give her a follow on Instagram. Thank you once again.